Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the all-new Skypad 4.0, a new glass mousepad from Skypad, who has become Wallhack. I mean, that's a whole nother thing, but apparently there's a lot of conflicting info out about the speed and just performance of this pad. Honestly, all of the like 3 or 4 reviews I saw said that this was a faster pad than the 3.0, which I agree with. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but I will give my experience with this pad. Yeah, first and foremost here I have a Skypad 3.0 just to give a general idea of the glide. Like, by no means am I saying the 3.0 is a slow pad, but the 4.0 is just noticeably smoother and quicker. Those are like the 2 easiest words I would use to describe it. They also have added an underside, like with silicone. I'll show that later just because I'm too lazy to pick up the pad right now. But yeah, this is going to be very similar to the Glaze from the Whale, Launda pad, whatever you want to call them. It is that type of like surface feeling, but it's a quicker pad. So it is going to be very smooth on your arm. I am totally anti-sleeve. Like, I'm just not using it no matter what, especially those ones with like the fucking material on your hand. You look like a loser. I hate to say it. And yeah, of course Skypad does sell that sleeve, or Wallhack rather, but yeah, no sleeves for me, and this pad performed fine. When it does, when there are like big temperature changes, that's when your arm might get stuck. Like, if it's hot and humid, your arm might get stuck, but if it's also super cold, your arm might get stuck for that reason. But just in general, like situations like right now, there's really no issues with my arm getting stuck. But if I am playing like a little micro flicking scenario and my arm is planted and then I want to move my arm a bit, then it's like stuck. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, if you're just generally worried, obviously you can use a sleeve. It is a very smooth surface, so there's not going to be like any real issue using a sleeve on this pad, obviously, but I'm just not going to do it. You couldn't pay me. But yeah, now getting into the speed of the pad across the board, like with many types of skates, I noticed the static friction being significantly lower than the 3.0, and I don't know if that was intentionally done or if it's just a byproduct of having such a smooth texture. I would assume it's something intentional relating to the polishing, but I mean, I'm not the one out here fucking making these glass pads. But yeah, initial friction is going to be stupidly low, and the dynamic friction, yeah, dynamic friction wise compared to the 3.0, these are with Obsidian Pros. You can see just how controlled they are on the 3.0 because there's a lot of like the texture for them to pick up on. But on the 4.0, it's just a lot more buttery feeling. It's a quieter pad on the skates. You can see the OP1 8K. It's just like these big Zowie style skates, thick, they just provide a ton of speed. So yeah, really, 3.0, it's going to play fast. 4.0, it's going to play faster. That's how I would look at it. If you can't control a 3.0, you're probably not going to be able to control a 4.0. And just one thing I want to address is like the people who say you need good raw aim to use a Skypad. And I agree, that's true. Like, if you have insane mouse control, you're gonna have an easier time using a fast pad. But it's just, I feel like the idea that lower friction is inherently better, and if you're a better player, you're gonna control it and you're gonna be better. I just feel like that falls short. Like, why does lower friction have to be better? That's something I've never really bought into with glass pads. Control glass pads, they're a whole nother thing. I don't fuck with those either. But yeah, really, I feel like this just gives the best idea of the speed. Like the OP1 8K, there's not a lot of stopping power. There's nothing in the texture of this pad that is going to give you an easy stop. So if you are playing something extremely dependent on that, using a lighter mouse, I just don't imagine you're gonna have the best time, but fucking maybe you will. Now I'm gonna show the underside of the pad. You can see they have this like square silicone, like, I'm not sure if it's actually silicone, but it performs very well. There's like, once this pad is on your desk, it's fucking sitting there. There's no way it's gonna move around. You can see like, even trying to move it, it's a little bit rough. But yeah, that is a big upgrade from the 3.0, where they just had like the 4 corner skates, and they were definitely outclassed by like Pulsar, who put the full silicone background on with the Super Glide pad. And yeah, now moving on to some more comparisons. This is with the Glaze pad from the Whale, and like I said, to the touch, these surfaces feel very similar. If anything, the Skypad does feel a little bit more like smoothed out, polished, but that could just be because I have a lot more time and like kind of wear on the Glaze. This one is very interesting because you actually get a 600 by 500 size. You can see it's like just a significantly bigger mouse pad for, I believe, $100 is what it retails at. And the Skypad is, of course, 490 by 430, and it's $120 before you use a code. So there is a pretty big price difference there, and the only difference I really notice is the speed being a little bit quicker. The mouse, it just feels like you're moving around a lighter object because there is a little bit more like dynamic friction and resistance with the Glaze pad, which in my opinion, that it makes it like a safer option for some different games, but that's just going to come down to what you prefer. The Obsidian Pros are really the skates that turn the 4.0 into a controllable pad. And it sounds like a gimmick because they like send these with the fucking mouse pad. They've done their collab with X-Ray Pad for like these hardened PTFE skates, but they're honestly the truth. Because they turn the 4.0, let's say you're using like Jade's Tiger Ice core pads, like it's just going to be a fucking freakishly fast pad. So throw the Obsidian Pros on, you get more control, but you still get a very fast glass pad experience. And yeah, even with the Zowie U2 stock skates, which are literally paper thin, the top skate design is stupid, and I had actually used these a lot on glass pads already, but it still maintains a pretty smooth, quiet glide, and it's a bit more on the balanced end. Like, it's not as fast as like the fastest PTFE skates are going to be, but as you can see, it's by no means like controlled on the 4.0 surface either. So if you do have like some type of more controlled skates on your mouse, I would recommend like rocking those if you want to have something that resembles a balanced experience, but really that's most likely just not going to happen. Also, if people are wondering about wear, I do think that this pad is going to wear down skates pretty quickly. You can see all 4 of these skates have some little marks on them in just not a ton of use. The Obsidians, you can kind of see the same, so I don't know. I can't give any like time estimate, but I would assume if you get a few months of legit hard use out of skates on this pad, that would be a pretty good deal. But considering you get like 40 sets, or 40 dots rather, that should last you a long time, and these are like literally $5 on AliExpress, so I don't think it's too massive of an issue. Yeah, I guess now while on the topic of mouse skates, I'm going to talk about my least favorite aspect of glass mouse pads, and that is the dust issue, the scraping issue, whatever you want to call it, when there's literally something microscopic on the fucking surface of the pad or on the surface of your skates, and you just feel this like nasty scraping feeling the entire time you're swiping the mouse until you fix it. That, to my knowledge, has been reduced on the 4.0, or at least in my experience it has been reduced, because as you can see, there's still fucking plenty of dust in my environment, but it's just not happening like multiple times a day. I would say like one time every other day I get something stuck in my skates and I wipe it off with a cloth. I still feel it. I like start scraping at it with my finger. I still feel it, and then I just keep doing that enough times until it stops happening. Obviously, if this happens to you mid-round or something, it's just going to be very annoying. I feel like people are always like, oh, Skypad, so good, Glasspad's so good, but like, what about that? Like, I don't know. It's not a game-breaking issue. It's not something that's happening like so often that it fucks up my experience with the pad, similar to like not having to wear a sleeve, my arm not getting stuck. It just feels like a new generation product. It's slightly better. The friction is all around, in my experience, lower. I would say the dynamic is closer to the 3.0 than the static friction is. The static friction is just like stupidly low on this pad across all skates. So, I mean, if you are looking for a pure speed glass pad, the 4.0 is an option. Obviously, I think it's priced pretty highly. I mean, this is, at the end of the day, a slab of glass. Obviously, they're able to price it highly because they're like, you only need one for the rest of your life. And yeah, I honestly do believe that this is a better buy than the 3.0 was. It's better quality. But yeah, it's a $120 slab of glass at the end of the day. The packaging is very good. I'll like put a little unboxing video up here. But yeah, I'm just not going to say that like this is the end all be all mouse pad. It's one of the best glass mouse pads on the market, undeniably. It's very fast. I don't know about like the surface inconsistency issues that some reviewers are mentioning, but I notice it being smoother, quieter, faster, which is just generally like the direction Skypad was going. But yeah, glass pads in general are a much more saturated market than they were a few years ago, so you do have plenty of options. Obviously, the Super Light, if you want something similar to the 3.0, but just a bit better quality. The 4.0, I do think like it's just a solid glass pad. It's too fast for me to use in Fortnite. Like, I just don't notice any benefit from it. I go back to like the Artisan Rokaku Soft, the Hayate Otsu, and I'm like, wow, this just is how I want a mousepad to feel. So yeah, the Wallhack Skypad 4.0 did not bring me to the dark side of glass mousepads. They did send me out 2 units though, and I did not notice any type of major speed difference, one of the pads being like texture and controlled, the other being quick, to address the inconsistency issues. But yeah, it does seem like there is a break-in where over the period of a few days, the pad does get like a little bit smoother and quicker just out of the box. But yeah, that's going to be all for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you have any other questions about the 4.0 or just glass mouse pads in general, make sure to let me know in the comments. And that is going to be all. Peace out.